The knock shattered the quiet of my apartment like a gunshot in a library, pulling me from the haze of another sleepless night. I yanked open the door, half expecting the landlord about his overdue rent, but instead, there he was, tall, shadowed by the hallway light, rain dripping from his dark hair onto the welcome mat that read Home Sweet Chaos. "Alex," he said, voice rough as gravel, eyes locking on mine with the same feral intensity I'd seen that stormy night 7 years ago. "I never stopped loving you." I froze, the world tilting under my feet like the deck of a ship in a squall. Ethan Hale, the boy I'd dragged from the edge of a highway abyss, stood there not as the scared 18-year-old runaway, but as a man carved from the same relentless storms, broad-shouldered, jaw set with purpose, a detective's badge clipped to his belt like a badge of unresolved sins. His lips parted, as if the words had been clawing at his throat for years, but I slammed the door before he could say more, my heart hammering a betrayal I couldn't name. How dare he show up now, after I'd buried that night deep enough to build a life on its grave? The rain outside picked up, drumming against the windows of my cramped Brooklyn walk-up like it was trying to drown out the echo of his voice. I slid down against the door, knees to chest, the worn hardwood floor biting into my palms. 7 years. That's how long I'd carried the weight of that highway rescue like a phantom limb. Aching, invisible, but always there when the thunder rolled in from Jersey. I'd been 21 then, fresh out of community college, driving my beat-up Ford Taurus back from a dead-end shift at the diner in Philly, the kind of job where tips came wrapped in pity smiles for the nice gay kid trying to make it. The storm had hit like God's own tantrum. Visibility zero, wipers slapping futilely against sheets of water that turned the turnpike into a river of regret. I'd almost missed him. A flicker in the headlights, a silhouette lurching across lanes, arms flailing like a man fighting off demons. Brakes screamed, tires hydroplaned, and then impact. Not hard, just enough to spin him into the guardrail. I leaped out, cursing the slick asphalt under my sneakers, hard in my throat as I reached him. He was soaked through, jeans torn at the knee, a backpack clutched like a lifeline. Hey, you okay?" I'd yelled over the gale, but his eyes, God, those green eyes, wild and fractured, said he wasn't talking about the crash. He collapsed against me, shivering not just from cold, but something deeper, a tremor that rattled his bones. I half carried him to the car, his weight heavy with secrets, and as I cranked the heat, he finally whispered, "Don't let them find me." Them. His family, I learned later, the kind of upstate New York clan that preached love on Sundays but wielded Bibles like weapons when their golden boy confessed he was gay. Ethan Hale, valedictorian, star quarterback, the son who'd shattered their perfect facade by coming out senior year. They'd called it a phase, then a sin, and when he pushed back, they'd locked him out. Literally, keys tossed after him as he stood on the porch with nothing but that backpack and a bus ticket he never used. He'd hitchhiked south, chasing whispers of freedom in the city lights, but the storm caught him first, mirroring the one brewing inside. I took him home that night, to my aunt's old row house in South Philly where I crashed rent-free in exchange for fixing leaky faucets. He showered while I microwaved leftover lasagna, and when he emerged in my oversized sweatpants, towel drying his hair, something shifted. Vulnerability hung in the air like steam, thick and intimate. We talked till dawn, about his ex-best friend who'd outed him to the team, the coach who'd benched him with a sermon instead of support, the mother who'd cried not for his pain but for the neighbor's gossip. I shared my own scars, the dad who walked out when I told him I liked boys, the high school hallways where fag was shorthand for target practice. By sunrise, it wasn't just rescue, it was recognition, two lost souls recognizing the map of the same uncharted territory. But connection like that? It's fragile as fog. He stayed 3 days, sleeping on the couch that sagged like my dreams, our conversations laced with laughter that bordered on flirtation, brushing hands over coffee mugs, lingering glances when one turned away. On the 4th morning, he was gone, a scribbled note on the fridge. "Thanks for the lifeline, Alex. Don't look for me. I'm poison." No number, no forwarding address, just the ghost of his scent on the pillows and a hole in my chest that therapy bills later couldn't fill. I rebuilt, brick by painful brick. Moved to New York for a graphic design gig that paid in ramen and rejection emails, dated guys who were safe, predictable, like the accountant who alphabetized his spice rack, but never asked about my storms. Friendships anchored me. Mia, my drag queen bestie from the coffee shop, who could read my moods like tarot cards. Jamal, the non-binary barista down the block, who hosted queer game nights to remind us we weren't alone. We formed a makeshift family, the kind forged in dive bars and pride parades, where prejudices were punched back with glitter and grit. But Ethan? He lingered in the margins of my sketches, a shadowed figure in unfinished drawings I burned on bad nights. Now here he was, pounding on my door again at 12:47 a.m., the digital clock on my microwave mocking me with its glow. "Alex, please. 5 minutes. That's all I need." His voice filtered through the wood, steady but edged with the same desperation from that highway. I pressed my forehead to the door, breath fogging the paint. Part of me, the scarred, stupid part, wanted to fling it open, to demand answers wrapped in apologies. The other part, the one that had learned to survive by building walls higher than Jersey barriers, wanted to call the cops on this ghost who'd risen uninvited. In the end, survival lost. I unbolted the lock, chain rattling like warning bells, and stepped back. He entered slowly, water pooling at his boots, filling the space with the scent of rain and regret. Up close, the years had etched him. Faint lines at his eyes, a scar snaking from his temple, probably from some badger and brawl. But that smile, tentative as a truce, hit me like a sucker punch. "You look good," he said, voice low, like we were sharing a secret in a crowded room. "You look like trouble," I shot back, crossing my arms to hide the tremor in my hands. "What the hell, Ethan? 7 years, and you waltzing like it's intermission?" He winced, running a hand through his damp hair, droplets catching the lamplight like fallen stars. "It's not a waltz. It's a crime scene, Alex. And you're the only witness who matters." He pulled a slim folder from inside his jacket, slapping it on my coffee table amid the clutter of takeout containers and half-read novels. The label read "Cold Case." Hailed disappearance, but it wasn't his. It was mine, in a way. Inside, photos of a missing kid, grainy surveillance stills, notes on a string of queer youth vanishings upstate. My stomach twisted. "What is this? You think I know something?" "No." He met my gaze, unflinching. "I know everything. Because I've been chasing shadows since the day I left your couch. Turns out, running doesn't erase the map. It just redraws it in blood." He sank onto the edge of my armchair, elbows on knees, the posture of a man unloading a lifetime's ammo. After Philly, I bounced. Shelters in D.C., odd jobs in Baltimore. Joined the academy in Albany to prove I wasn't the screw-up they said. Made detective last year, specializing in runaways. And every file I open, it leads back to that night. To families like mine, who don't just disown, they destroy. I paced to the window, staring at the blurred neon of the bodega sign across the street. It's open 24/7, a lie for hearts like ours. "So you come here to, what, recruit me? Or is this your twisted way of saying sorry?" "Both." His admission hung heavy, pulling me back. He stood, closing the distance, but not touching, respecting the invisible line we'd both drawn in blood. "I left because I was scared, Alex. Scared of dragging you into my mess, of loving someone when I couldn't even love myself. But these cases, they're connected. Bigoted networks, conversion camps gone rogue, kids vanishing into rehab that ends in graves. And the latest? A boy from Syracuse, profile matches mine to AT. Last seen hitchhiking the turnpike." The room spun, memories crashing like waves. That silhouette in my headlights. Could it have been foreshadowing? I grabbed the folder, flipping through pages that blurred with urgency. Witness statements laced with slurs, police reports dismissed as teen drama. One name jumped out, Reverend Harlan Graves, a firebrand from Ethan's hometown, preaching cures for afflictions like us. "This guy's your dad's golf buddy, isn't he?" I asked, voice tight. Ethan nodded, jaw clenching. "Worse. He's the architect, and he's escalating. I need your help, Alex, not as a savior, but as a partner. Someone who sees the patterns I can't because they're too close." Partner. The word landed soft, loaded, stirring embers I'd long doused. I wanted to say no, to protect the fragile piece I'd stitched from friendships and freelance gigs, from Mia's fierce hugs and Jamal's bad puns. But those eyes, green as forbidden fields, held the boy I'd saved, the man I'd mourned. One condition, I said finally, extending my hand not for a shake, but a bridge. No more ghosts. We do this together, or not at all. His fingers closed around mine, warm despite the chill, and for a heartbeat, the storm outside hushed, as if the world held its breath for us. File 1 end, word count, 1023. Dawn crept through the blinds like a hesitant lover, painting stripes across the folder on my table, and the man who'd upended my night sprawled asleep in my armchair. Ethan's chest rose and fell in steady rhythm, one arm draped over his eyes, as if even in dreams he shielded himself from the light. I brewed coffee strong enough to wake the dead, black for him, with a splash of almond milk for me, and watched him stir, blinking away the fog with a sheepish grin that made my resolve waver. "Did I snore?" he asked, voice gravelly from disuse. "Worse, you talked in your code," I replied, handing him a mug, our fingers brushing in a spark that neither acknowledged. Something about patterns in the rain. Poetic for a cop. He chuckled, low and rueful, sipping as he straightened. "Occupational hazard. Rain's my trigger. Reminds me of you hauling my sorry ass into that Taurus." His gaze softened, tracing my face like he was memorizing amendments to an old case file. "Thanks for not kicking me out. Again. Don't thank me yet. I'm still deciding if you're asset or liability." I settled on the couch, knees drawn up, the space between us a minefield of unspoken histories. We dove into the folder, papers rustling like dry leaves in autumn winds. The cases spanned 5 years, a dozen boys aged 16 to 20, all queer, all from conservative pockets of upstate, disappeared after family interventions or schoolyard exposures. No bodies, but whispers of shallow graves in the Adirondacks, courtesy of anonymous tips that went nowhere. Ethan pointed to a timeline, his fingers steady despite the veins standing out like rivers on a map. "See the clusters? Spring and fall, right around youth retreats run by Graves Ministry. They lure him in with promises of acceptance, then isolate, prayer sessions that turn into lock-ins. Last year, 2 came back changed, compliant, medicated, reciting scripture like robots. The rest? Ghosts." I traced the names, each a stab. Tyler from Ithaca, outed by a Snapchat. Marcus from Rochester, beaten by his own brothers. "And your angle?" "Undercover Sunday school teacher." Sarcasm masked the chill crawling my spine. These weren't abstracts. They were mirrors of what could have been us. Something like that. He leaned in, our shoulders touching, heat seeping through cotton. "I've got a lead. Graves is hosting a restoration weekend next month in the Catskills. Invite only 4 troubled families. I pose as a concerned uncle, you ass. Hell, my partner. Domestic Bliss sells the cover. Partner again. My pulse skipped, a traitor to the walls I'd built. Domestic? As in, hand-holding and white picket lies. I arched a brow, but the idea lodged like a hook, pretending with him, blurring lines we'd never crossed. "Whatever it takes." His tone dipped serious, eyes holding mine with an intensity that peeled back layers. "But off-duty? No pretending. I owe you truths, Alex. Starting with why I really left." The air thickened, coffee cooling forgotten. He set his mug down, hands clasping like in prayer or confession. "That third night, on your couch, I woke up to you sketching by the window, moonlight on your face like you were made of it. I almost kissed you," leaned in, heart pounding. But then I saw the fear in the mirror across the room. My reflection, the kid who'd lost everything. I couldn't risk you becoming collateral. I swallowed, throat dry. "You decided for both of us. Noble, but bullshit. I wasn't some damsel, Ethan. I chose to pull you in. And I chose to run." Regret etched his features, deepening the scar. "Tracked you online years later. Saw your portfolio, the pride posts, the life you built. Made me proud and gutted. By then, I was deep in the badge, chasing redemption in badges instead of beds." Beds. The word hung, innocent yet charged, but we skirted it, pros at deflection. Instead, we plotted. I'd dig digitally, hacking freelance skills into social media scrapes for victim patterns. He'd work official channels, careful not to tip Graves. By noon, we'd mapped a strategy, scribbled on napkins like outlaws planning heists. Mia burst in unannounced. Key under the mat privilege, tray of bagels in hand, her sequined robe a beacon of normalcy. Darling, you look like death warmed over. And who's the tall drink invading your vibe? Ethan stood, offering a hand with easy charm. Ethan, old friend, crashing the party. Friend, huh? Mia's eyes narrowed, radar pinging my flush. She was all curves and charisma, a Latina queen who'd clawed from Bronx basements to off-Broadway stages. Her drag persona, Mama Mia, a shield for the trans woman who'd lost her brother to similar bigotries. Spill, Alex. Is he the highway ghost from your therapy tales? I groaned, but Ethan laughed, genuine, easing the tension. Guilty, and here to make amends, with bagels. She sized him up, then grinned, tossing her hair. Amends accepted. But hurt him again, detective, and I'll lip-sync your takedown. Over cream cheese and lox, she grilled him. Lightly, loyally, drawing out his badge stories, the ones about saving trans kids from shelters, busting hate crime rings. Jamal arrived mid-morning, non-binary and neurospicy, with a backpack of comics and herbal tea, their locks tied back in a rainbow scrunchie. New player? Cool. But if this is a rom-com reboot, I called dibs on the snarky bestie. The apartment filled with their energy, a buffer against the folder's shadows. We brainstormed. Jamal's hacker hobby uncovering dark web forums where Graves' flock traded success stories, laced with code for coercion. Mia suggesting infiltration via her church contacts. Ex-evangelicals turned allies. Ethan fit seamlessly, his dry wit bouncing off their banter, but I caught his glances, grateful, guarded, like a stray testing fences. By evening, as they filed out with hugs and warnings, call if he snores, exhaustion hit. Ethan lingered, jacket slung over his arm. Dinner tomorrow? Neutral ground, pizza in the village. No cases, just us. I nodded, pulse thrumming. Us. Try not to vanish this time. Promise. At the door, he paused, thumb brushing my elbow, a touch electric, chaste. Night, Alex. Sweet dreams, no storms. Alone, I replayed it, the folder mocking from the table. Partnership meant risks. Not just Graves' web, but Ethan's pull, dredging feelings I'd filed under closed. Sleep came fitful, dreams of highways merging with Catskill trails, his hand in mine as thunder cracked. Morning brought clarity, or delusion. I texted Mia, he's back. For real. Her reply, girl, that's plot twist gold. But guard your heart, detectives dig deep. She was right. Ethan already had, unearthing once I'd buried under Brooklyn bustle. Our date unfolded at a hole-in-the-wall pizzeria, checkered tables sticky with sauce ghosts, the air thick with garlic and possibility. He arrived early, sleeves rolled to forearms corded with quiet strength, a six-pack of craft IPA sweating on the bench. Figured we'd need fortification, he said, sliding one my way. We talked easy at first, his academy pranks, my disastrous blind date with a vegan activist who lectured on cheese ethics. Laughter flowed, loosening knots, but undercurrents swirled. Ever wonder what if, he asked midway through a slice, sauce at his lip like war paint. What if what? I knew, but played coy, heart eavesdropping. That night, if I'd stayed, his fork toyed with crust, eyes on me, vulnerable as the boy in the rain. We could have been. Something. The something echoed, heavy with hypotheticals turned tangible. We still could, I said softly, surprising us both. If we stop running from it. He reached across, palm up, and I laced fingers with his, simple, seismic. No kiss, no rush, just anchor in the storm we'd weathered apart. But peace fractured fast. My phone buzzed mid-bite. Unknown number, a voicemail transcribed cold. Detective Hale's meddling. Back off, or the next boy won't just vanish. Static, then a child's sob, staged or stolen, it chilled to bone. Ethan's face hardened as I played it. Graves. He's onto me. We bolted, pizza forgotten, into the night where shadows lengthened like accusations. At my place, he paced, phone-to-ear barking orders to dispatch. Escalate protection, wires, tails. And pull the kid's file, match the voice. I watched, adrenaline sharpening edges. This wasn't abstract anymore. It was hunt, and we were prey turned predators. What now? I asked, voice steady despite the quake. Now? We gear up. He stopped, cupping my face, gentle, fierce. But promise me, if it gets hot, you walk. I can't lose you again. Too late. I murmured, leaning in till foreheads touched. We're in it. Together. That night, he crashed on the couch, insisted, boundaries be damned. While I lay awake, the cities hum a lullaby laced with warnings. Love, it seemed, was the ultimate cold case. Unsolved, unrelenting, pulling us under. The week blurred into a frenzy of shadows and screens, our apartment morphing from sanctuary to war room. Laptop glows cast Ethan's face in blues and greens as he pored over wiretap logs, muttering about jurisdictional red tape while I cross-referenced forum posts, unearthing threads where reformed alumni spilled veiled horrors, electric therapies, isolation cells disguised as prayer closets. Mia and Jamal became extensions of us, her theater connections snagging invites to Graves' periphery events, their barista shifts covering stakeouts with thermoses of spiked chai. This is some X-Files queer edition, Jamal quipped one night, binoculars fogging as we tailed a ministry van from a dingy Queens motel. But with better hair. Ethan's laugh was rare currency those days, doled out in stolen moments, like when he'd catch me doodling case maps into abstract art, adding flourishes with a grin. You're turning crime into poetry, he'd say, shoulder bumping mine. The contact casual yet charged, like static before lightning. We danced around it. This pull, shared glances over takeout, his hand steadying me on subway jostles, but never crossed, not with the noose of the threat tightening. The voicemail had been a gauntlet thrown, and Graves played dirty. Anonymous tips flooded Ethan's precinct. Bogus leads wasting manpower. Photos of me at pride rallies mailed to my freelance clients with notes scrawled in pious venom. Sodom's scribe corrupts youth. My inbox clogged with hate, echoes of high school taunts, but I forwarded them all, stealing against the sting. They're scared, Ethan said one evening, deleting another batch from his phone. Means we're close. Close meant the restoration weekend looming like a thunderhead, 2 weeks out. Our cover solidified. Ethan as Uncle Ray, reformed sinner seeking family counsel for his nephew Jamie. Me, the prodigal grappling with inclinations. We'd rehearsed in mirrors, tones pitched to earnest desperation, but off script, truths seeped. You're a natural liar, I teased after one run-through, collapsing onto the couch in laughter. Or a natural actor. He flopped beside me, closer than necessary, our thighs pressing, a line blurred by fatigue. The air hummed, heavy with what-ifs reborn. Alex, about the other night. I turned, his proximity a magnet. Pizza confessions? Yeah, I meant it. The something. His voice dropped, hand hovering near my knee, seeking permission. If this ends us, before it starts. It won't. I covered his hand, anchoring. But slow. We've got ghosts enough without rushing them. He nodded, thumb tracing my knuckles. Chaste, but the promise thrummed. We pulled back, resuming prep, but the seed planted, rooting deep. Complications brewed elsewhere. Mia called frantic midweek. Her ex, a lapsed churchgoer turned informant, had gone radio silent after probing Graves' inner circle. He texted coordinates to a cabin upstate, said meet at dusk for docs. Now nothing. GPS pings dead. We mobilized, Ethan flashing badge at traffic cams, me geolocating via satellite hacks Jamal jury-rigged. By midnight, we rolled north in his unmarked sedan, rain slicking the thruway like old scars reopening. The cabin hunkered off Route 17, a sagging A-frame swallowed by pines, porch light flickering like a dying pulse. Ethan killed the engine a quarter-mile out, whispering, "Stay put. Radio, if I signal." But staying put wasn't my style. I tailed at a distance, boots silent on needle carpet, heart a drum in the downpour. He approached low, gun holstered but ready, knocking code we'd set. No answer. Door creaked open to darkness, and he vanished inside. Seconds stretched eternal, then a thud, muffled curse. I bolted, phone light slicing gloom, bursting into chaos. Ethan wrestling a hooded figure, grunts echoing off knotty pine. Alex out, he barked, but I lunged, grabbing a lamp as improvised club, swinging wild. The figure bucked free, hood falling to reveal not threat, but me as ex. Carlos, face bruised, eyes wild. Trap, he gasped, collapsing. Graves knew, scent muscle. Docs are ash, but. List. Names. Safe houses gone bad. We bundled him out, Ethan radioing backup while I hotwired the sedan, skills from a misspent youth. Sirens wailed distant as we peeled south, Carlos spilling in bursts. Graves' network wasn't just camps. It was a pipeline, funneling unfixables to black market labor in rural compounds, branded with biblical tattoos as ownership marks. Your boy's on it, Carlos rasped, nodding at Ethan. Hail. They whisper about the quarterback who escaped. Trophy catch if recaptured. Ethan's grip whitened on the wheel, jaw of vice. They tried once. After academy, ambush at a rest stop, thought I was done. He glanced at me, shadows carving canyons in his face. That's why the scar. Rage boiled, hot and helpless. At the ER drop-off, anonymous, cash for silence. Carlos gripped my arm. Protect your own, kid. Love like that. It's ammunition. His wink was weary wisdom, a gay uncle's ghost story. Back in Brooklyn, dawn breaking gray, we crashed tangled on the couch, exhaustion erasing boundaries, his head on my shoulder, my fingers in his hair. No words, just breath sinking, a truce with the night. I woke to his stirring, green eyes soft in morning light. You saved me again, he murmured, voice thick. Team effort. I smiled, but the list burned in my pocket. Names we'd salvage, starting with Ethan's redemption. The days ratcheted tension, alliances fracturing under pressure. Jamal uncovered chatter. Graves' weekend was go, but with enhanced security. Mercs posing as counselors, per dark web bids. Mia, ever the firebrand, volunteered as +1. I'll charm the patriarchs, slip mics in the hymnals. Her bravado masked fear. I saw it in the way she chain-smoked menthols on my fire escape, recounting her own exorcism attempt by evangelical kin. They don't break you. They bend you till you snap back crooked. You're unbreakable, I told her, hugging fierce. And we've got your back. Ethan's precinct pushed back too. Chief citing overreach, reassigning him to traffic duty as cool down. Politics, he spat over burner phones, pacing my kitchen. Graves has donors in Albany, suits scared of faith-based backlash. Frustration etched him raw, but he channeled it into us. Late-night strategy sessions bleeding into dawn talks, vulnerabilities bared like evidence logs. One such night, post-fight with Brass, he arrived hollow-eyed, bottle of bourbon in fist. To hell with protocol. We drank slow, fire in veins loosening tongues. Remember Philly? Your lasagna was gluey as sin. I laughed, swatting his arm. And you ate 3 helpings. Starving artist perks. Silence settled, warm. Then he turned, cupping my jaw. Alexei. The kiss was inevitable, soft as absolution. Lips tentative, tasting of oak and longing. I pulled him closer, hands fisting his shirt, the world narrowing to heartbeat and heat. No rush, no storm. Just unraveling, years folding into now. We broke for air, foreheads pressed, his whisper ragged. Worth the wait. But dawn brought reality's bite. The list named a decoy site, a rehab farm in the Finger Lakes, ripe for raid. Ethan called in favors, rogue feds, queer activists wired for sound. While I prepped go bags, heart split between thrill and terror. If we nail this, he said, zipping mine with care, weekend's our Trojan horse. If, the word loomed, but so did we, stronger, stitched from shared scars. As sirens faded into rain, I realized, love wasn't the risk, losing it was. The raid hit like a thunderclap at 3 a.m., Ethan's unmarked leading a convoy of shadows up twisting backroads to the Finger Lakes farm. I'd begged off field, cover safer, but guilt gnawed as I paced my apartment, burner buzzing with updates. Perimeter clear. 2 guards down, zip-tied. Static crackled, then Mia's voice, embedded with the TAC team. Kitchen's a chem lab. Pills, serums. Kids in the barn, sedated but breathing. Breathing. The word anchored me till Ethan's whisper cut through. Alex? We got him. 8 boys, matches the list. But, one's bad. Overdose. My knees buckled, phone slipping as I sank to the floor, the city's indifferent hum mocking the ache. He stayed on, voice steady for them. Breaking for me. He's fighting. Paramedics en route. This is it. Graves pipeline exposed. By sunrise, headlines trickled. Upstate cult compound busted. Queer youth rescue. Anonymous sources, of course. Ethan's doing, shielding the brass's complicity. He returned at noon, hollowed but triumphant, collapsing beside me with a duffel of evidence drives. Autopsy prelims tie it to 3 priors. Feds are looping in, RICO charges brewing. I pulled him close, his weight a bomb. You did it. Heroes don't come quieter. We did. His kiss was salt-tinged, exhaustion yielding to gratitude. But victory soured fast. Graves' lawyers spun, religious persecution. Bail set astronomical, yet met by dawn. Mia forwarded leaks, sermons decrying sodomite raids, congregations swelling with righteous fury. Jamal's feeds lit up, doxes targeting rescuers, my face among them, captioned Enabler's End. Fear slithered in, but so did resolve. The restoration weekend was days away. We'd go, armed with warrants tucked in prayers. Rehearsals amped, me channeling Jamie's angst. Ethan raised paternal plea, but intimacy wove through, kisses stolen in lulls, hands linked under tables. This feels real, I admitted one night, tangled in sheets for the first time, his body a map I'd chart slow. It is. His fingers traced my spine, voice hushed. You're my north, Alex. Always were. The drive north Friday dawn was tableau. Ethan at wheel, me shotgun, Catskills unfolding in emerald waves under skies bruised purple. We checked in at the lodge, a faux rustic sprawl of cabins and chapels, air thick with pine and piety. Uncle Ray and nephew Jamie. Ethan boomed at registration, arm slung casual over my shoulder, the touch grounding amid stares from pearl-clutching wives. Our cabin was sparse, twin beds, cross-stitched blessed on walls, but we claimed it defiant, unpacking wires in the Bible drawer. Dinner that eve was spectacle, long tables groaning with potluck piety, Graves at head like a patriarch from hell, silver-haired, eyes serpentine, sermonizing on prodigals reclaimed. He cornered us post-grace, grip firm on Ethan's shoulder. Ray, is it? Your boy's got fire, needs dousing. Ethan's smile didn't crack. That's why we're here, Reverend. Guidance for the lost. Graves' gaze slithered to me, probing. Lost sheep wander far, but the fold welcomes all, repentant. His pat was paternal poison. I nodded mute, mic in my collar capturing every syllable. Nights blurred into vigils, group shares, where boys like me confessed sins under fluorescent glare, tears coached from coercion. I played along, voice cracking on fabricated shame. I kissed a boy, felt wrong. Ethan's eyes across the circle a lifeline, fury banked for the long game. Whispers reached us. Carlos intel verified, more lists hidden in Graves' office, keys held by a loyal deacon. Saturday climaxed in baptismal hikes, trails to a stream for symbolic dips, guards lax in devotion. Mia, as Aunt Lena, slipped away mid-prayer, picking locks with hairpins while Jamal monitored from a rented RV, hacking lodge cams. Office clear, docs downloading. She hissed via earpiece as Ethan and I reflected by the water, hands clasped under scripture quotes. But hubris bites. As we regrouped at dusk, a deacon, beefy, Bible thumping, burst into the mess hall, waving printouts. Infiltrators. Devil's duo. Chaos erupted, chairs scraping, screams of Sodom. Graves rising serene, signaling security. Ethan shoved me behind him, badge flashing. NYPD. Stand down, warrants served. Fists flew. I ducked a haymaker, elbowing back, adrenaline a roar. Mia appeared, drive clutched like Excalibur, hurling it to Ethan amid the melee. Got the motherlode. Transfers, payoffs. Graves loomed, voice thunder. Hail. Knew you'd slither back. Prodigal no more, traitor to kin. Ethan froze, recognition dawning. His father's old ally, the uncle who'd preached at his phase. You took boys, Harlan. Not saved, stole. For profit, for power. The Reverend sneered, but cuffs clicked as feds swarmed. Jamal's SOS pinging them flawless. Graves spat scripture as they dragged him, eyes promising hell, but Ethan's stance was steel. Your hell's got cells now. Debrief dragged till midnight. Statements in a fluorescent-lit lodge office turned command post. Boys from prior retreats emerged, testimonies tumbling. Hugs for us, tears for freedom. One, a wiry teen named Riley, gripped my arm. Heard your story in shares. Gave me guts to fake the dip, plan escape. Thanks, Jamie. Alex, I corrected soft, hugging him fierce. Real names reclaimed, one gasp at a time. We drove south at dawn, convoy tailing with rescued souls to safe houses. Ethan's hand found mine over the gearshift, silent vow. It's over. But over? Graves' web spanned states, donors, disciples. Yet in that moment, with sun gilding the Hudson, it felt one. Back in Brooklyn, normalcy crept wary. Media frenzy faded, charges stuck, RICO indictments piling like indictments of the soul. Ethan bunked permanent, our lease amended to us, mornings of coffee and kisses replacing case files. Mia threw a Slay the Dragon bash at her loft, Jamal DJing anthems of triumph, Riley and the boys toasting with mocktails. To family, Mia raised, glass clinking mine, the ones we choose. Ethan pulled me aside mid-song, terrace overlooking the skyline. Marry this chaos? He murmured, ring box velvet in pocket, simple band, etched with lifeline. Tears pricked, joy sharp. Yes, but only if you promise. No more storms alone. Never. His kiss sealed it, city lights winking approval. Yet epilogues twist. Months later, a letter arrived. Graves from Rikers, pinned in acid ink. Blood calls to blood. Hail. Your father's waiting. Forgiveness or fire? Ethan's hand shook reading it, but he burned it. Ashes to wind. We write our own. And we did. Love a detective story, solved in hearts, not headlines. Storms past, but rainbows? Ours, eternal. Wait, no, that's tidy. Truth's Messier. A year on, Ethan's precinct promoted him to hate crimes unit, me freelancing murals for queer centers, our wall one of tangled limbs and lazy Sundays. But prejudices linger. A homophobic rookie eyes us wary at the holiday party, whispers of diversity higher. Mia clocks it, lip-syncing shade in retaliation. Jamal memes it viral. One stormy eve, thunder rumbling like old foes. Ethan traces my wedding band. Remember the highway? Always. I lean in, his warmth chasing chill. Good. Because I'd crash into you again, every time. Laughter bubbles, love's defiant chorus. In America's fractures, we mend. Queer, unbowed, unbound. But redemption's arc bends, not breaks. The letter from Graves ignited embers we'd banked. Ethan's past, a specter in suits and sermons. His father, Victor Hale, surfaced weeks later. A call to Ethan's desk, voice oil slick with contrition. Son, the Reverend's folly, misguided zeal. Come home. Rebuild. Ethan's grip crushed the receiver, knuckles bone white. Home? You padlocked the door, Dad. On me. Click. But the hook lodged, doubts festering like untreated wounds. I saw it in the small erosions. His gaze distant over dinner, sketches of upstate maps doodled absent-mindedly on napkins. Just closure, he claimed when I pressed, but closure's a myth for men like us. Raised on conditional love, chasing absolution in apologies that ring hollow. Mia sensed the rift first, cornering me at her drag brunch. Mimosas bottomless, judgments not. That ghost daddy's stirring the pot. Don't let Ethan wait alone. Mia more. Daddies like that. They don't repent, they recruit. Her words echoed as Ethan announced the trip. One dinner. Neutral ground, Albany diner. Hear him out, then ghost for good. I nodded support, but insisted tandem. I'm your plus one. Nephew Jamie's grown, meets the family. He relented, reluctant, but the drive north was taut, radio filling silences with classic rock anthems that felt like dirges. The diner squatted off I-87, chrome faded, booths cracked vinyl exhaling ghosts of grease and grief. Victor waited in a corner stall, silvered at temples, eyes the same green as his son's, but dulled by denial. Ethan, and friend. The pause on friend landed like a slur, but I slid in beside Ethan, hand under table a silent fort. Dad. Ethan's tone was even, shield up. Talk. Victor leaned in, Bible absent but piety palpable. The grave's mess, tragic excess. But core truth holds. God's design, not man's whims. His gaze flicked to me, dismissive. You've strayed far, boy. Albany's got programs, discreet help. Ethan's laugh was bitter bark. Help? Like the camps that killed kids? Save it. We're here for facts, not fables. Facts flowed grudging. Victor's complicity, tides funneled to graves, whispers of cover-ups for accidents. For the family's name, he justified, voice cracking on excuses. Your mother prays nightly. Come see her. She's frail, Ethan. This lifestyle, it breaks her. The word lifestyle twisted like a knife, but Ethan's rebuttal was scalpel. What broke her was choosing hate over her son. I'm married now, Dad. To Alex. And we're building what you tore down. Victor's face crumpled. Shock, then sorrow scripted. Married? Lord forgive. He slid a photo across. Ethan's mom, withered in a nursing home gown, eyes hollow. For her. One visit. Ethan pocketed it, standing abrupt. We'll think. Outside, rain lashed the lot, mirroring the storm in his eyes. He looked old. He muttered, keys jangling. Small. Forgiveness isn't forgetting, I said, buckling in. But you don't owe him your peace. The return was quiet fury, Ethan channeling into work. Testimonies from the rescued boys compiled into airtight briefs, Graves' empire crumbling in court. But Victor's hook reeled. Calls escalated, voicemails laced with maternal pleas. Mia hosted intervention over tacos, Jamal facilitating with therapist poise. Boundaries, babe, they chorused. Or he'll boundary you into guilt. Ethan nodded, but doubt lingered, a crack in our foundation. Nights, he'd pace the fire escape, phone in hand, warring with the dial. I joined him one midnight, blanket draped, stars indifferent above. What if he's right, he whispered, head on my shoulder. What if love like ours cost them? It costs us more to doubt. I turned his face, kiss fierce. You're enough. We're enough. Dawn brought decision, a letter, pen joint. Ethan's script firm, mine softening edges. Visit denied. Healing starts here, without chains. Mailed certified, severing ties. Relief washed him slow, like receding floods. Work surged, promotions for us both, my murals gracing city halls, his unit busting a bias ring in the Bronx. Friendships deepened. Riley, now college-bound, crashing game nights with crushes confessed. Mia's off-Broadway run dedicated to highway heroes. Yet misunderstandings brew in bliss. A case pulled Ethan undercover, deep cover, months in a rural enclave posing straight arrow local. Just surveillance, he promised, packing lies into a go-bag. But absence amplified echoes. Victor's photo on the fridge, a taunt. Anonymous emails reviving lifestyle barbs traced to old teammates. Loneliness gnawed, bridged by calls, whispers of miss you across staticky lines. Mia filled voids with brunches, Jamal with playlists of survival anthems. But the bed yawned empty, dreams haunted by highways and hollow apologies. Cracks widened when he returned early, haggard, haunted, a brawl's bruises blooming purple. Enclaves rotten, he debriefed, ice pack to jaw. Graves offshoot, recruiting ex-cons for redemption squads. Beat a kid senseless for a grinder ping. Rage mirrored his, but under it, fracture. You smell like smoke and strangers. The accusation slipped, born of fear, not fact. He recoiled, eyes flashing. Jealous? After all this. Hurt laced the words, old insecurities flaring. Not jealous, scared. Tears hot, I paced. You vanish into shadows, Ethan. Like Philly. Like always. The fight erupted, words weapons. His I protect us, clashing my by erasing us. Door slams echoed. Him to the couch, me to bed solitary. Morning brought regrets hangover. Mia mediating over coffee, Jamal diffusing with dad jokes. Fights forge, they said, but repair was raw. Ethan at the door, flowers wilted as his apology. I ran once. Not again. Therapy, together. We enrolled, sessions peeling layers, his abandonment wounds, my rescue complex, weaving stronger seams. Dates recommenced, picnics in Prospect Park, sketches of our future framed on walls. Climax crested unexpected, Victor's stroke, relayed by a cousin neutral. Ethan wavered. Bedside vigil debated in tear-streaked talks. Go, I urged finally. Not for him, for you. He did. Solo. Hospital sterile. Mother frail but fierce, clutching his hand with sorry s stuttered. Victor lingered vegetative, but closure landed. I choose us. Ethan texted, photo of mom's tentative smile attached. Return was rebirth. Proposal redux. This time on the highway overpass. Rain pattering soft. Ring slipped with forever my savior. Vows exchanged City Hall simple. Mia officiating in sequence. Jamal ringbearer with flair. Life unfolded textured. Conflicts with in-laws imagined. Prejudices and policy fights Ethan led. My art funding queer scholarships. Storms came. Health scares. Job losses. But we weathered. Anchored. In quiet, his head on my chest, thunder distant. Love you, Alex. No claims, just truth. Truth's enough. Kisses chased night, our story unwritten, endless. Years folded like well-worn pages. Our life a tapestry of triumphs laced with the inevitable tears that bind threads tighter. Ethan's unit expanded, a beacon for marginalized voices. Trans officers mentored, bias trainings mandatory. His testimony before Albany committees a hammer on glass ceilings. I thrived in galleries, murals sprawling across borough walls, highways to hope, figures entwined defying storms, titles like unbroken lines. Mia hit Broadway, her one-woman show from ashes to sass, a queer catharsis, tickets scalped for sold-out runs. Jamal launched a podcast, Out Loud, Stories from the Margins. Riley guesting on episodes about escape and embrace, their voice steady, a testament to survival's song. Wedded bliss wasn't postcard, it was potholed roads, navigated with grit. Misunderstandings flared minor, a forgotten anniversary eclipsed by a stakeout, my freelance deadline clashing his late briefings. But we learned the dance, apologies over takeout, makeups in morning light, therapy check-ins keeping scars from suppurating. Victor passed quietly in hospice. Ethan at bedside with me remote via video, mother's hand in his a fragile bridge. Her passing months later closed the circle, funeral skipped, but a private memorial in our park, toasting her hidden kindnesses unearthed in letters post-mortem. Prejudices persisted, societal specters, a new chief eyeing Ethan's personal life, askance, clients balking at my agenda-driven art. But allies multiplied. Pride floats we led, community centers funded by our combined checks. Surprises punctuated. Adopting a rescue pup named Stormy. All wags and wisdom. Jamal's coming out as Polly, expanding our circle with partners who baked killer pies. Yet drama's pulse never fully stilled. A cold case resurfaced. Ethan's own disappearance file, reopened by a zealous DA sniffing scandal. Sloppy police work. The suit sneered in deposition, implying Ethan's lifestyle skewed his runaway status. Tabloids nibbled. Cop's closet comeback? We lawyered up, Mia's showbiz shark shredding claims. But the toll carved deep, sleepless nights. Ethan's fists clenched at mirrors, my sketches turning jagged. Climax brewed in court. Trial not for Graves' remnants, but Ethan's integrity. Witnesses paraded, old teammates recanting slurs under oath. Philly aunt testifying to the rescue night, voice quavering. That boy saved my nephew's life, twice over. I took the stand last, words measured. Love doesn't fabricate lies, it exposes them. Ethan's truth is his badge, worn for boys like we were. Verdict cleared him, but victory tasted bittersweet. DA demoted, but scars reopened. Homecoming was quiet. Jamal's feast, Mia's toasts, Stormy underfoot. Ethan pulled me to the roof, city sprawl a constellation below. You spoke for us, he said, ring-twisting habit. My hero. Yours. Kiss deepened, promises renewed. Post-trial, growth accelerated. Ethan authoring a memoir, Highway to Justice. Bestseller in true crime aisles, proceeds to youth shelters. I illustrated it, covers capturing that stormy silhouette turned silhouette of strength. Tours bonded us closer. Readings in bookstores where fans shared parallels, hugs for the hurt, hope for the healing. Bigger twists, Mia's pregnancy via surrogate, a chosen family expanding, our own talks of kids, fostering a teen from the old network, wide-eyed and wary, thawing under our roof. Name, Jordan, pronouns they slash them, sketching beside me. Ethan's patient patrols building trust. Conflicts crested domestic. Jordan's rebellion, sneaking to underground raves, clashing with Ethan's cop instincts. You're suffocating, they yelled one tempest, doors slamming echoes of Ethan's youth. We mediated, hearts aching, learning release over rescue. Revelation hit soft, a letter from Ethan's mom, tucked in her will, apology etched in fading ink. I failed you, but loved fierce. Be free. Read aloud by candlelight, tears cathartic, binding us triune. High Sword. Anniversary in Philly, revisiting the diner where lasagna launched us, toasting ghosts goodbye. Lowe's lurked, a hate crime spike post-election, Ethan's overtime endless, my worry a constant companion. But through date nights enforced, vacations to beaches where waves washed worries. Climax revisited in subtlety, Graves' appeal denied, but a disciple's manifesto online, targeting heroes like Hale. Security amped, bodyguards for events, but Ethan refused retreat. We don't hide, he declared, badge polished defiant. The night it dropped, manifesto with our address, panic peaked. Ethan barricaded, gun drawn, me herding Jordan to the closet safe room. Sirens wailed, takedown swift, disciple cornered blocks away, rants recorded. Aftermath, huddles tight, therapy tripled, but unbreakable. Resolution rippled, policy shifts from Ethan's advocacy, art grants for my collectives, Jordan's first gallery show, pieces of fractured homes mended abstract. Friends evolved, Mia's tyke toddling at barbecues, Jamal's network a safety net vast. In quiet eves, Ethan and I on the couch, Stormy snoring, Jordan headphones blasting upstairs, worth every storm. He murmurs, head on my lap. Everyone. Fingers lace, story ongoing, love's drama, eternally scripted and hearts resilient. Epilogue whispers, decades on, gray at temples, we walk that highway overpass, hands clasped, Stormy's successor leashed. Saved you, Ethan teases. Saved us. Laughter lifts, sun breaking clouds, bright, boundless.